We are almost 1 month into the Nintendo Switch 2, and I think we are a matter of days or even hours from the "there's only Mario Kart" people from getting a lot louder and a lot angrier. If you've been that way since launch and you're swearing off buying a Switch 2 until Donkey Kong, or you're still enjoying Mario Kart but are getting tired of being slammed in Knockout Tour every night, I know there's a lot of time to kill before Donkey Kong. Trust me, I'm counting the seconds. I've waited my whole life for that game. But if you're looking for a true next generation Nintendo Switch 2 showpiece, or at least something that will be able to demonstrate the affordances of the new console, allow me to recommend to you a Nintendo Switch game, believe it or not, no 2, that was updated to fully take advantage of the upgrades of the Switch 2. And I think you should play it as soon as possible. I'll wait. When a new console launches, I get your first inclinations not to look backward and play old games. I had a big problem with the PS5 positioning that as the appeal. It's why it took 2 years to buy one. But this past weekend, I ran through an oldie, a big oldie, and I gotta say, it was a delightful experience, and I would not have been able to say this had I not played it for a second time on Switch 2. On Saturday and Sunday, I did a full start-to-finish playthrough of The Legend of Zelda: Link's Awakening from 2019. It is a 6-year-old game. I'm aware of that. Better, it's a 6-year-old game that's a remake of a game from 1993. But in so many ways, I think it is truthfully one of the best games you can use your Switch 2 to play right now. I've always loved the original, so I am biased there, but when I played the remake, I thought it was good, but now I appreciate it way more. So when it comes to what you're actually gaining out of this upgrade, for one, it's free. So compare that to the Breath of the Wild and Tears of the Kingdom 4K 60 patch. You get a frame rate and resolution buff here as well, for free. So if you own Link's Awakening, the remake, for the Switch, you have the better version. No additional charge. You just can't log into the Nintendo Switch app and use Zelda notes for it. So sorry about that. I was always a fan of the art style they did for this game. The Switch 2 makes it look way sharper though, and just really how it was always probably supposed to look. HDR support makes the game and its style pop even more. Link looks so crisp and adorable. I need to get that amiibo on my shelf. I gotta get it before it starts going out, because I was gonna get it recently and then I saw out of stock somewhere. So the longer I wait, the worse it's gonna get. I know these things work. But seriously, a few times I was taken aback looking at my TV of just how nice all of these character models and little animal villagers and like environments look. I'm not used to high fidelity Nintendo yet. It's still novel to me. So the art style was great before, but what was not great was the frame rate. Specifically, there's a stutter that would happen consistently enough that it was just jarring and made the game feel like it was bursting at the seams a little bit, or like a cheap budget title. But now, buttery smooth. I recognize for a lot of people, they may not even perceive all that, but simply playing it on the 4K TV and checking it out handheld mode on that very good looking Switch 2 screen, it really does just look better than it ever has. I really, really feel like the art direction sings on this new hardware in ways I never imagined that it could. So as someone who is familiar with it already, with the original, the DX version of the Game Boy 1 and the remake, I was wowed by what the Switch 2 does for it, but I still think it is absolutely worth playing if you've never played it before, or if you have, it's worth revisiting. There are plenty of other Zelda games on the platform that you could play right now, including the Wind Waker if you have the big fancy Switch Online expansion pack, but as cool as the Wind Waker is, I don't think playing it on Switch 2 really adds anything to that experience other than having it on a handheld, which is neat. But when we compare to what we ran through with Link's Awakening just now, I do think what you get out of this being a Switch 2 game, in quotes, it's more impressive, and I feel like probably a better use of launch window playtime. And way more baseline, Link's Awakening just rules. It's got a lot of charm, and it is kind of secretly melancholic of a quest and a story. I won't say more than that, but like, don't be fooled by how cute it looks. There's some moments that hit in this. The beautiful thing, I think, about Link's Awakening, the original release, or the DX version, is how grand of an adventure it's able to provide on a chunky little Game Boy cartridge. It did have to compensate being a handheld game following up the more impressive A Link to the Past, and I feel it makes up for it in being a far more interesting Zelda game compared to Link to the Past and a lot of Zelda games. Link's Awakening is maybe my favorite scenario for a Zelda game. Again, I won't get into spoilers, but it kicks off with Link waking up on a beach, shipwrecked because of a storm. He was sailing, and he finds himself on this strange island called Koholint with very odd ecosystems and even more odd inhabitants. I'm aware odd characters in a Zelda game is approaching water is wet territory, but there is something to this cast that's just very singular in the series, at least from the other ones that I've played. You should know that the developers of this game were very into Twin Peaks at the time of making it, and I think you can feel that. There's a growing uneasiness, almost like hidden very deep beneath the quest as you go along on it. But like, don't be thinking like something that's going to turn dark or anything. You still go to like a goat lady and deliver a love letter from her to a guy in the woods, and she's pretending she looks like Princess Peach. So like, it's still a Zelda game, but there's a lot of stuff like that in here. Like a lot of very, something is not quite right. Why are there so many Mario references in this game? All of that charm was needed in the original release to help prop up the smaller, more condensed adventure. But in the case of the remake, bringing that Game Boy-sized adventure to a hybrid part-time home console translate to this kind of being a close to all-killer, no-filler Zelda experience. Maybe the only one on the device. I think I can recommend this game to like anybody that wants to try a Zelda game, honestly. As far as the classic experience goes, when it comes to top-down Zelda, I don't think you get better than Link's Awakening. DX or the remake, but I recognize it's harder for some people to go back to Game Boy games. So we're talking about the remake in this scenario, specifically because of the advancements on the Switch 2. But in roughly 12 to 13 hours, as somebody familiar with it, I had a complete Zelda experience. I did dungeons, I did a whole trade quest, picked up 40 of the hidden seashells to upgrade to the Koholint sword, and I walked away very fulfilled. Since launch, I've been very tempted to dive into a replay of Breath of the Wild or Tears of the Kingdom, but I know how I play games, and there's no chance in hell that I would have those done or close to done by the time DK comes out. It may be a shorter experience, but I still think it's a great way to spend time close to launch and a great way to break in the Switch 2, especially because it feels like it's at home and belongs here. As soon as I wrapped it up, I was already thinking about playing it again, like a year from now, maybe try full handheld mode playthrough, because the battery on that seems to work pretty good as well. Like I think it could probably get, like, based off of how much I played on it, close to 4 hours of battery with like brightness at like halfway. And now I'm excited to finally get around to Echoes of Wisdom, because that is also built off the same engine, art style, and got a very similar Switch 2 treatment. So as big a Zelda fan as I am, I missed that. So there's basically a brand new Zelda experience for me on Switch 2. So I will give the Link's Awakening remake, played on the Nintendo Switch 2, my highest recommendation to play right now. I think it is probably the most fulfilling, most succinct Zelda game you can play on the Switch right now. And by the time you finish it, we will be a lot closer to DK Bananza. So if you do end up checking out Link's Awakening, either as a replay for the first time because of this, please come back and let me know what you think. I'm very eager to hear what people think of this game, because if anything, I can guarantee you it will be a memorable playthrough of just a memorable little scenario, characters, quest. Very, very fulfilling. I will never forget you, Marin.